The Niger coup has been in the news a lot lately. Why is it important right now, and what does the Russian PMC Wagner have to do with it? First off, I want to start off with a warning. If you are in Niger and you want to send me footage of military movements or equipment, do not put yourself at risk to take a picture. I don't want anyone hurt or killed or put in jail for whipping out a cell phone just so a YouTuber can have a little bit of content. So here's what's going on. And like everything in Africa, it's a complex story. Nigeria has a democratically elected government and civilian control over the military. The last election was in 2020, and it was free and fair and resulted in the first peaceful transition of power ever held in that country. On July 26, 2023, the military of Niger, led by General Omar Shiani, commanded a coup against the legally elected president Mohamed Bazoum. Now, the US and France have a few bases in Niger to help fight Islamic insurgents, mainly in the south and southwest of the country. This foreign presence isn't well liked by the military of Niger. General Omar Shiani is head of the Niger Presidential Guard and supposedly loyal to the former president Mamadou Issoufou, and he's the guy who promoted Shiani to general. President Bazoum supposedly wanted to fire General Shiani, and supposedly General Shiani saw his chance to act before he was let go, but right now we really don't know the reason for the coup. Now, Niger is one of the poorest countries in the world. They are landlocked, and a lot of the people are subsistence farmers. Their main export is uranium ore, which is like 75% of their export economy, followed by like gold, onions, beans, and meat. Only 14% of the population has access to electricity. 22% have access to the internet, and 52% have mobile phones. Pay attention to this, it's going to be important later. The country is a former colony of France, and there have been multiple coups and coup attempts since the country gained its independence in 1960. The country is mostly Islamic, with about 1% Christian and other denominations. Niger's constitution is a mix of French civil law, Islamic law, and customary law. That being said, the military is pretty secular and is not interested in implementing strict Islamic or Sharia law. Into this mix comes ECOWAS, the Economic Community of West African States. This is an economic consortium of 15 West African states that share common economic interests. ECOWAS issued an ultimatum directing General Shiani to step down and reinstate President Bazoum. This ultimatum expired on August 6th, which was a couple of days ago, after which ECOWAS may consider military action. The main leader of any military action will probably be Nigeria, which is directly below Niger. Nigeria has about 110,000-ish troops plus a pretty respectable air force, and they've been involved in quite a few UN peacekeeping missions in Lebanon and Sudan, so they have some regional expeditionary and logistics capability, and they share a lot of linguistic and cultural ties with Niger. Now, apparently, the Nigerian Senate rejected the president's call for deploying troops, so I'm not sure how the situation is going to develop or whether anyone will take the lead, but I don't see any regional African military solution without Nigeria leading the way. Now, when it comes to Niger, they have about 10,000-ish troops, maybe 5,000 gendarmes, which is kind of like a militarized state police. And they have a very small air force, like 2 Su-25s and 2 helicopters. Niger doesn't have that many modern combat vehicles. Most of their fighting is done in technicals, which are basically pickup trucks with a crew-served weapon and 10 dudes in the back. Now, some people have said this coup was part of a Russian campaign to exert influence. So I fired up Cyabra, which is a tool that I use for social media threat identification, and I really didn't notice any inauthentic users stirring up tensions. Now remember how I said only 14% of the population has access to electricity. 22% have access to the internet, and 52% have mobile phones. So that may be a factor in this. When only 14% of your target has electricity and 22% have access to the internet, waging a social media campaign against the government isn't going to be that effective, although there may be television and radio broadcasts that people are picking up which show pro-military government propaganda. Also note, if I'm some subsistence farmer out in the middle of nowhere and someone tells me there's been a coup, I'll probably be all like, oh, that's great. How does it affect my cattle prices? Not everybody spends all day on the internet. Now, speaking of prices, Nigeria has closed the borders to Niger, so consumer prices for basic foodstuffs are rising, and that's never good for anyone. The US and France have also suspended foreign aid, which again isn't good for the average citizen. People have said that France might invade Niger. France is Niger's former colonial government, and they still have about 1,500 troops there. These troops are mainly there to fight insurgencies, such as the Islamic State. France has a highly professional military, and it's one of the few truly expeditionary militaries that can project power outside of its borders, along with the US, UK, and to a lesser extent Russia. So France could definitely return the country to democracy if they wanted to, but would they? The prevailing theory is that France doesn't want to lose its source of uranium, but you can get uranium from the US, Canada, Australia, so losing Niger may be a loss of cheap uranium, but the lights aren't going to go out in France tomorrow. The US also has about 1,100 troops in the country, mainly running a drone airfield for counterterrorism operations, but I don't really see the US getting involved. Now, when I talk about anti-terrorism operations, Niger is kind of like Mad Max Fury Road. Essentially, everything outside of the capital city of Niamey is full of bandits, smugglers, and Islamic State fighters. Boko Haram is active in the southeast of the country along with the border of Nigeria. And Islamic State is active in Tilaberi, which is the region that holds the capital city. Now, there have been rumors that Wagner, the Russian private military company, has been coming into Niger offering mercenary services and offering to fight Islamic insurgents and bandits. So, this could be a case of a foreign power, Russia, spending money not to obtain the uranium for themselves, but to make sure nobody gets the uranium, which makes Russian uranium more expensive on the global market. But would the expense of supporting this new military government outweigh the increase in the price of uranium? Now, some reports have said that civilian supporters of the new military government want Wagner to come into the country and clear out the bandits and Islamic State terrorists and do it their way. But while we're dreaming, I want a pony. At the end of the day, Wagner is still a business. And it's a business, the main product of which is contract troops. The troops have to be fed, housed, and provided with consumables such as ammunition. Every additional soldier that's needed to secure logistical lines means additional cost. So the problem is sustainment. Wagner might be able to get troops in Niger, but they all need beans and bullets. There's no railroads in Niger. There's no way of floating supplies in through a river. You're going to have to move supplies over land or by air. Wagner is operating in Mali, which is right next to Niger. It's to their west. So if you move those supplies over land and you move them from Mali, you have to move it down one of three roads: Highway 1, Highway 24, Highway 25. And now you're going right through Islamic State territory. And now you've got Fury Road. What would you do if you were an Islamic State commander and you found out that a convoy of weapons was coming down a road in your territory? I'll be like, yo, this is better than Amazon. They're going to bring a convoy of food and weapons down my turf where I know the territory and I can select where and when I want to ambush. This would make Route Tampa and Iraq look like Sesame Street. You want IEDs? Because this is how you get IEDs. At the end of the day, Wagner is a business, and businesses need to make a profit. So the question is, can they move large numbers of troops into the country and sustain them and support them in the fight? Wagner could definitely provide advisors. That's easy. A platoon of advisors, maybe a company of advisors. But I don't see them deploying the thousands of fighting troops that are needed to make a difference in a fight, because I don't think Wagner can sustain them, at least not at a profit. Governments like France and the US don't have to make a profit. They can fund and sustain an airstrip out in the middle of nowhere. But it's a lot harder for a corporation to do the same unless there's a profit in that venture. So that's the situation right now. I'll keep you guys updated as I learn more. I have a whole article about this on my Substack with more details, although some of the statistics are behind a paywall. You can get that link in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Mr. President? Yeah, that's me. I'm the president, man. Hey, little tugboat, did someone drop your anchor?
It's 3 o'clock in the morning, Mr. President.
Well, it's not like you got some girl in bed with you to wake up. Listen, you freaking nerd. I've got a problem. It's my vice principal, man.
You're who?
Come on, man. Camilla. Miss Harris, if you're nasty. She's got a Nerf day coming up, man. I gotta get her a presentation.
Well, Mr. President, how about a Ryan McBeth t-shirt from Bunker Branding? I've got Think Outside the Bomb, Live, Laugh, Launch, Repatriate, N for HIMARS, Department of the Boat People, Landmine marker shirts, and even Hell on a Wire. A lot of these come in hoodies and stickers as well.
Yeah, I'll get a Ryan McBeth t-shirt from Bunker Branding. McBeth, you saved the reputation of the Tight House. Not the Tight House, the Tight House. The building, man, with the Rose Garden. Get with the program, man.
Happy to help, Mr. President. And be sure to get yours at bunkerbranding.com.